Hello and welcome to today's webinar, A Smarter Storage Model, Fighting Back Against Runaway Data Costs. This webinar is brought to you by Applied Software, the premier software systems integrator in North America. I am Mark Mincy and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. Today we are discussing an exciting solution that not only helps the design and construction world, but helps anyone who stores data. In our competitive environment of tight budgets, you are expected to do more with less. And yet the amount of data you're storing keeps doubling every year and your costs keep rising. Today we will be discussing this growing problem and a proven solution that allows you to transform to a smarter storage model. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the questions pane. Please take a moment to introduce yourself in the questions pane. We want to know who you are, where you're located, and anything interesting that you would like to share with us. Also, use this box to type in any questions that you may have throughout the presentation. We will take time to answer the questions at the end of today's webinar. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online on our YouTube channel. We will also send you an email following the webinar with a link to the recording. Please share it with your coworkers and colleagues. If you haven't already, searched Applied Software on Facebook and Twitter. Connect with us to receive the latest information and special offers. Be sure to visit our website, ASTI.com, for information on services and support, products, training opportunities like CAD learning and live learning, and more. Concerning especially the product we're talking about today, Panzura. You'll also find a complete schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and trainings. We have some very interesting webinars coming up. You can register for these by going to ASTI.com webpage under webinars. First, on May 25th, we show the second in the series on how to leverage BIM 360 Team. And then on May 30th, we show you how to leverage your data across multiple platforms for a connected workflow. For those in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, we are hosting an event to show off our new visualization services. We had an excellent event in our Atlanta office, and now we're bringing it to Miami. So for those in the Miami area, please register to attend. For those not in Miami, we plan on hosting more of these events around the country, so keep checking back with us. At the conclusion of the webinar, our survey will pop up. Complete the survey to enter into a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You must complete the survey to be entered into the drawing. Now, it's my great pleasure to present today's presenter. He has more than 2 decades of industry experience. He has extensive startup and Fortune 500 vendor experience across cloud, storage, security, and the networking fields. To share this far-reaching and in-depth experience with us today, it is my pleasure to present the Chief Executive Officer of Panzura, Mr. Patrick Harr.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone on the phone. It's great to talk to everyone today. So what I thought I'd do is spend a few moments going through what we see from a market perspective, and then dive into a solution we believe is really second to none in the industry. So we're going to turn to the next slide here. As we look at the market space, there's truly a tremendous amount of data explosion occurring. We certainly see this across multiple different industries, multiple different data types, whether it be video in 4K, whether it be Internet of Things, to things such as log data. We really are seeing a dramatic explosion. And it's not just the explosion within the data center, it's across multiple number of sites. It's also the importance of being able to collaborate on that data. So with that, excuse me, we're trying to move the slide forward here. So with that, as we look at the market today, we expect to see dramatic growth in the data sets, as you see in this slide, growing almost, 44% here, 44 times, sorry, over the next several years. And as I noted, it's driven by those key data types, not only in 4K, but in medical imaging, clearly in engineering and design. It's driven by those large CAD files. So with this, it's putting a tremendous amount of pressure on traditional IT. And with that, putting a tremendous amount of pressure on what we characterize as the current status quo storage model. So whether you're storing data in filers today on something like NetApp, or within an EMC environment, or it could be generic Windows Server files or file servers, it is a tremendous amount of pressure, not only in terms of the primary storage that you're storing within the data center, but also with the associated CapEx and then operating expenditures to manage that data. So with that, we believe there's a new model, and that new model is really ushered in by the cloud. And if we look at what's happening in the industry in general, we are seeing a dramatic acceleration into a cloud-first model. I've been in the cloud for a little bit too long time now. I started a company back in 2007 and raised money back then, and they told me my head was in the clouds. But it really was about how are we driving and taking advantage of other people's data centers. And if we really look at that, what's happening with Amazon, Azure, Google, and others, it really is about how do I take advantage of the tremendous amount of billions of dollars of infrastructure that they're putting in place. In turn, how do I drive down my cost? How do I create more speed and agility? And with that, as we see in this chart, this year alone, we expect the AWS to be the number two storage provider in the world. And as you see, Azure is quickly coming up to number 5. And with that, you see, is it back to that previous slide, that traditional status quo that those vendors that have been in the market for some time are falling down. So NetApp's forecasted to move from number 2 to number 6 this year. Not only do we have, obviously, this tremendous growth in storage within the public cloud, we also have significant shift in workloads. So today, about 95% of workloads are running on-prem in the data center. But as you see here, and this is from Gartner, we're expected to grow at about 30% in the public cloud within the next couple of years. So with that, again, what we're seeing from an IT perspective is I need to rethink my data strategy. I have tremendous pressure. I have tremendous growth in that unstructured data. I have, obviously, CapEx, OpEx concerns. And in many respects, I need to lower my cost, not increase my cost. So with that, we believe there's a new model. And that new model is what we characterize as Panzura hybrid cloud storage. And with this, you not only get speed and agility and flexibility, but it does dramatically lower your cost. In fact, we see multiple customers save up to 70% in their cost of managing that unstructured data. We'll get into in a moment how we do that, but at a top level, that's what it's really about. How do I manage this tremendous growth in unstructured data, whether you're in the medical field, whether you're in the engineering field, whether you're in the government sector? It is about how do I manage this large growth and do that with pretty tremendous pressures on budgets. So as we look at this further, who is Panzura? Our mission in life is to transform everything into the cloud from a storage perspective, and do that by not only creating value and lowering that cost, but also how do we unlock power of that data once it's in the cloud by doing things such as index and search, doing analytics to that data. So that's our overall mission, is how do we help customers transform into this cloud-first paradigm. And we do that with a set of solutions, what we call our Freedom Solution Set, designed for Active Archive, designed for what we call Freedom NAS, which is a NAS replacement from your traditional NAS environments with NetApp in particular, as well as other vendors. And as you see here, we have multiple customers across different industries, healthcare, financial services, engineering and design, both large and small. Those customers benefit, again, whether you're a 25-person shop or you're a Fortune 10 shop. It really is about how am I fundamentally changing my storage design to accommodate this tremendous growth and take advantage of things from a compute standpoint And as I said before, how do I dramatically lower the cost? We've seen significant Silicon Valley investors behind the company. We've seen tremendous growth. In fact, we closed a record quarter this in Q2. And it's because of these trends I just highlighted. So what are the key hybrid cloud storage use cases that we are seeing emerge? We're now on version 7 so it's not that we're new into this game. It's what we are seeing is this explosion around cloud first. And with that, if I look at data from a tiering perspective, tier 2 data, tier 3 data, tier 4 and 5, the first area that's very easy to move to a hybrid cloud model is Active Archive. And if we think about it, Active Archive is data that after, as I showed previously in that slide, after 6 months, unstructured data becomes cold. That means it can be stored in longer term storage, and that in turn equates to cheaper storage, and that's object storage behind the scenes. But it does also represent it's valuable data. I may need to access that data at any point in time. So someone like in the oil and gas space, it's seismic data. So we have a customer, Chevron, that needs to be able to access that data at any point in time from multiple different locations. And they need to store petabytes and petabytes of that data at significantly lower cost. So that's what Active Archive is about. How do I store that data in longer term, cheaper storage in the cloud, be able to access that at any point in time so I can drive my business. The second key area we've seen emerge is full NAS, or what we call cloud NAS. This is a NAS replacement of your on-prem NAS environment. Again, these can be small filers from Windows file services up to the largest NetApp environments. We are seeing tremendous amount of customers that are replacing these. As we see here, Live Nation is one of our customers where there was 80 sites. 72 of those are running directly in Amazon itself, where they didn't want to have any data center equipment or anything, quote, in the closet. And the top 8 sites are leveraging our flash controllers at the edge for high performance delivery. So again, another key use case is in that NAS, the hybrid NAS delivery. Third is in real-time collaboration. And I know we have some engineering folks on the call. What we do is pretty unique here, where we're able to help customers provide or do real-time collaboration on large file sets. So that means if you have a CAD/CAM environment and I'm doing a large engineering design and I need engineers or designers from multiple parts of the world, they can collaborate in real time using our distributed cloud file system. And finally, cloud DR and backup. Now, it may sound like one of those mundane aspects, but as we've seen in the recent even malware attacks, it's very important to be able to go back to a point in time to do a recovery. And you want to be able to do that on a regular basis down to the minute level. And not only do that with a cloud behind you, which has 11 nines of durability, tremendous amount of resiliency. So these are really 4 key use cases that we're seeing from a hybrid cloud perspective that are really driving the market space. So how do we do this? If I would look at a typical, again, what we characterize as a status quo model, typical data center, I have a rack of equipment. As you see at the top, I've got primary storage, I have backup storage, I have, in some cases, tape or VTL, which could be something like data domain. I have Riverbed from a WAN optimization perspective. Many customers are still using MPLS networks or dedicated networks. With this, you not only have a single site, some of the larger customers replicate this data to multiple different locations. So what really happens in this environment is I've created a very costly and complex, difficult to manage, and as we highlighted before, with this tremendous growth in unstructured data, I simply cannot keep up. So there is a new model, and that model is one where I collapse that entire rack of equipment into a single appliance. Now that appliance can be a virtual appliance running on ESX in a VMware environment, or it could be a physical appliance. But with that, I collapse that entire infrastructure, and in fact, we just recently did this where we replaced 3 racks of NetApp equipment alone in a single data center, tremendous amount of cost savings, but not only you delivering primary storage services to the users and to the applications, but we're also doing global dedupe. We get tremendous cost savings or data reduction savings in that dedupe. We have real-time ability to do file locking. Other key things that we do are compression. We have military-grade encryption. So any data that is put into the system is not only encrypted in flight, but at rest. The net of it, you get dramatic simplification, and in turn, what we do is we move 100% of that data to the cloud. So we're leveraging the economics and scale of the cloud, but still we're storing that top 5 to 10% of the data, the active data at the edge. So that means for my applications, my user, I can access that the data that matters in real time. So really delivering the best of both worlds, high performance edge storage on flash with the economics and resiliency of cloud. And as I said before, we're seeing customers save up to 70% as a result of moving to this model. And not only can I do this in a single site, but I can replicate this to other sites. So what does this mean from a backup perspective? Because backup is inherently in the solution, I can now, rather than do snap mirror to something like another site, which is really a wasted operation, I can snap into the cloud. And guess what? Again, 11.9 to durability, significant resiliency. I can immediately do a recovery if something gets corrupted. And as we saw with the WannaCry, and I was going to talk about this a little bit later, you do want to have, from a ransomware perspective, the ability to go back very quickly in a point in time to recover that data. That's exactly what you can do. So the net of this new model, from whether you're doing active archive, whether you're doing NAS, or you're doing real-time collaboration, I have a dramatically simplified environment, much more agile. I have the ability to scale on demand, and as I highlighted, you have tremendous military-grade encryption. Not only do you have that capability, but as that data is now moved into the cloud, we have the capability to index that data with an Elasticsearch integration, the ability to search that data. So this provides tremendous amount of power once that data is in the cloud. Again, not only to be able to index and search, but you can also drive analytics. So who's accessing what, when, where, and why? From a seismic data perspective, what type of compute can I do that to do analytics to see if I found a new oil reserve? So really, it's a tremendous amount of power that can be delivered by moving to this model. So kind of to recap, the key areas that we are focused on with our solution sets, number one, which I look at the easiest way to transition or transform to the cloud, is active archive. If you have identified data or you're keeping data for longer term projects, and you never know when you need to pull a project back in engineering or design, or if you're in medical imaging, in the government space, I think you have to store that data now for 87 years, or really the lifetime of the person. So, and again, you never know when you go to that doctor's office, you need to pull that information back. Oil and gas, I never know when I need to look at that data at some point in the future. But again, I want to maintain it for a long-term, from a long-term perspective. So this really does provide a tremendous solution to be able to drive a cost-effective reduction, keep that data for long-term, and remove a tremendous amount of operational overhead. If anyone's ever had to try to recover tape, you know what I'm talking about. You have to have the same firmware for that tape. And this is the reason why once it goes into a salt mine, it never gets back. So this truly is a great solution. Cost effective, we see, as it's highlighted, not only 70%, but in some cases up to 90% savings with the active archive approach. The second key area, our Freedom NAS, is a full NAS replacement of NetApp. In particular, if I look at the NetApp 2000 series, 3000 series, up to the 6000 with SnapMirror, where I'm doing replication. Dramatic cost savings, flexibility that I highlighted, the ability to scale on demand in the cloud with military-grade encryption. So it truly is a strong solution to go in and do that NAS replacement. That can be done in a primary-secondary perspective. So if I have a primary data center with NetApp, I can do that replacement where they're replicating to a secondary, or I can do multiple sites. One of our customers, we replaced 260 sites of NetApp. So it really does not matter if you're small or large. It is about being able to take advantage of what we can do from a cloud NAS perspective. And finally, freedom collaboration. For those designers, for those engineers, for those companies that have large projects where they want to have real-time collaborations on those file sets to drive greater productivity. Again, multiple customers we have today that they have designers from around the world collaborate in real time on large projects. So this helps them get those projects faster to market, higher quality, and it also helps them leverage their productive resources much more effectively, because I can have designers that may have downtime in a particular project work on another project from a different location. So overall, we see the Freedom product line as being very revolutionary in the marketplace. Really does serve those small customers up to the large customers and across those tiers of data, whether that be tier 2 data or primary data, all the way down to your archive data. As I alluded to before, and we saw a lot of news on this last week, ransomware is a big issue. And ransomware does affect storage, where they lock your files and they hold it at ransom until you pay them, until you put the Bitcoin up. And I think I saw Bitcoin's going upwards of $2,500 now, so obviously I think it's even more in some of the larger ones. It becomes an expensive proposition. So what you want to have the capability to do is go back immediately to a point in time to recover a file or a volume or bring an entire file system back in line without having to pay that. And so none of our customers at Panzura, and we have over 450 enterprise customers today, were affected by the ransomware or the WannaCry virus. This is really important. We take security very seriously, as I highlighted before, with military-grade encryption, but security also is about how do I do recovery, because things can and do get affected. So it's about how do I do a recovery on my backup and bring that back in a very strong fashion, what's your kind of recovery objective. And with our cloud-backed environments, you have near zero RTO. So my kind of challenge to everyone on the phone is go take a test drive, see what your kind of savings would be within your environment. Again, whether that's on active archive for that tier 3, tier 4 data, whether it's your primary storage replacement, or it's in your real-time collaboration, we see tremendous savings for our customers. We have a very simple ROI or TCO calculator that'll run through your data type, how many sites, and it'll give you just a quick analysis of what you could possibly save by moving down this pathway. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anyone may have on the phone.
Again, this is Mark Bain speaking. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Harr. That was fantastic. Glad you were able to share with us your vast experience and as far as the solution that you provide. So now I want to encourage all those participants or the attendees to please ask any questions that you may have. Again, this is a great opportunity to find out new and different information. We do have already some great questions that are being asked, so I'm going to get to those right away, but do want to encourage you, if you have a question, please type those into the question pane. So again, I have a question here from Seth. Do I still need backups?
As I said, within the solution, you inherently get backups where we are snapping on that point. We're doing snaps down to the minute. So in turn, you can obviously do a recovery if something is corrupted. That's why I point out the ransomware example with WannaCry, where we have that ability to go back very quickly and recover that particular information.
Thank you very much. Brenda has a question here. Do I have to use only the cloud providers you mentioned?
No, we call it the Freedom product line because it is freedom of choice. You have the freedom to choose which cloud provider best meets your needs. So we work today with the popular clouds, Amazon, Google, Azure, as well as with our key partners, IBM, EMC, VirtuStream. That's on the public side. And we also have several customers that do private clouds, and they in turn can use our product to integrate with that object storage on-prem.
Thank you very much for that. Doug has a question. You may have mentioned it, but how long has this solution been around?
So we're on now going on version 7 of our distributed file system, or distributed cloud file system. We now have over 20 patents. In fact, we're going to make an announcement next week of grant of several new patents. So it is a very mature solution. What is, I think, important to note is timing is everything. And with what we are seeing in the market space with this explosive unstructured data growth, which is really outpacing the ability to scale within a data center environment or within a business environment, and this shift to a cloud-first model, what we've done in that distributed cloud file system really does provide a unique value, not only, as I said, to deliver high performance at the edge, but reduce the cost and do it in such a way where I'm leveraging the significant innovation and the billions of dollars of investment that being put into these large-scale public clouds.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Seth again here has another question. Will I need additional bandwidth when using Panzura?
So we do require a minimum of 10 megabits dedicated to the solution, because we are moving data back and forth. Now we have optimized, we have again some key patents here where we do what's called smart sync, and the ability to only do differential movement of data between the cloud. We also do what's called parallel reads and writes to the cloud, which provides very high performance capability. Now, with that said, it is important to still have bandwidth. So we do require at a minimum that 10 megabits of dedicated bandwidth.
Thank you very much. James here has a question. What size firm do I need to be to use Panzura?
So as I mentioned earlier, we work with both large and small firms. It really comes down to the requirements of from a customer standpoint. Is my environment being outpaced, meaning am I outgrowing my current NetApp environment? Am I outgrowing my current Windows file server environment? Do I want to take advantage of what the greatness of what the cloud offers from that scale, that pay-as-you-grow model, as well as security and resiliency? So we have both large and small customers, and our solutions really benefit really the breadth of those customer sets.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Let me check here one more question here. Let me read this. Steve here has a question. What applications does Panzura support?
So we support I'd put this many different applications. It really comes down to what's the use. So in the active archive space, we work with the popular archiving applications that really need a CIFS and NFS mount and be able to drive that data into the cloud, all the way up to in the collaboration space, working with AutoCAD or Autodesk applications. We're kind of experts in the Autodesk suite of applications. And again, everything in between. We have mail applications. We just did a large SharePoint deployment. So it really, we're kind of application agnostic. It does come down to what are the I/O requirements of that application. But as long as it can be mounted as a CIFS and NFS share, as a standard CIFS and NFS share, we really do work with all the applications out there.
Thank you very much. Again, encourage any more questions that you may have. Again, we just had one coming here. What kind of ROI should I expect to see?
So as I said, kind of that challenge to you all, we see typically up to 70% cost savings with our customers. And that's because we are dramatically simplifying the storage environment, removing that 30-year-old model. As I showed before, collapsing an entire rack of equipment down to a single appliance, whether that be software appliance or a hardware appliance. It is providing dramatic simplification, and in turn, it's removing a lot of pressure on the management or the operational side of that particular storage. So this is where we see kind of the combination of CapEx and OpEx delivering that 70% cost savings.
Fantastic. That's great savings. Andy has a question here. Is Patrick saying that multiple people could be working on the same Autodesk file at the same time?
Absolutely. It happens every day with our customers. Again, we have a very, very large customer that I showed earlier that has over 4,000 simultaneous VDI users from multiple different locations working on Revit. And what we do is very unique in that space because we can do real-time byte range locking, and going into the weeds for a moment. So you can have a designer work on one particular model, one particular aspect of a model, while another designer is working on another aspect of the model simultaneously. And I can do that geographically dispersed. So I can have designers in New York simultaneously working on that same model as from California and San Francisco. So it really is unique to what we do, and it really highlights the power of that distributed file system and what we've characterized as what we call real-time file locking. I should note that real-time file locking does matter. There's some others in the industry that will espouse file locking, but they do eventual file locking, and eventually only gets you eventually consistent and eventually corrupt. The last thing you want to have, and particularly in AutoCAD, is have multiple people simultaneously work on a file and not have that real-time locking. So that means one designer does not design over another designer. So we do this every day, and we see very dramatic productivity gains with what we do with AutoCAD.
Thank you for that, Andy. That was a great question. That does look to be our last question coming in. Again, just go. So comment, that was awesome. So again, just give you that, Patrick, just in case you didn't see that. Joe says your presentation is awesome. But again, we're going to wrap it up here. Again, so.
I appreciate it. It was great to talk to everyone. Sorry for a little bit of technical difficulty at the outset. It's always fun when you get a little delay. But again, overall, we are tremendously excited about what we see in the market space. It truly, we kind of sit at kind of one of those revolutionary times, not just evolutionary times with this transition into the cloud. I think our hybrid cloud solutions sit front and center and really provide a great way for you as a customer to be able to save money. But it isn't just about saving money. It's about how do I drive more speed and agility in my business? How do I become more productive on my data? How do I analyze that data? Those are all benefits that could not be unlocked before, and that's what we can do today. So excited to share this with you, and look forward. Hopefully we have the opportunity to work with each and every one of you on the phone.
Again, I want to thank you, again, Patrick here, the CEO of Panzura, for sharing your insights and experience in addressing this growing problem with data storage. It's great as far as applied software to partner with Panzura that helps address this important and timely issue in the data storage environment. In a moment, our webinar survey will pop up. Complete the survey to be entered into a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You must complete the survey to be entered into the drawing. The survey will only take a couple seconds to complete. I also want to encourage you to go to the link provided earlier where you too can calculate your savings using the hybrid cloud storage. Can you see it up on the screen, panzura.com/hybrid-cloud-storage/TCO. So go to that link today. Thanks for joining us today. We hope that you found this webinar informative and helpful to your business. We look forward to seeing you on a future webinar.